the Glasgow event is upon us. And before the Glasgow event, I want to understand from you, what does India want from the developed countries to commit to the net zero goal? China has already said it's 2060, they can do it. But are you open to setting up a target? And also, what stops you? We don't have a target as yet. India does not have a target as yet. So what stops you? And do you think we can achieve it before China? And what kind of support are you looking from?
Devrati, I want to first of all highlight the fact that India made a commitment, the nationally determined commitment to Paris, the Paris Agreement, COP21. And it had a certain timeline. Well before the timeline ran its full course, we have fulfilled many of our commitments, and with our own funds at that. We have shown clear, if I can use this word, not with a tone of patting my own shoulders, but a very clear shift and a spectacular shift from where we were to high goals in renewable energy. Our solar energy production achievements are there for everyone to see. Now, having moved distinctly away from fossil fuel to a very good achieved target, we've also now enhanced what we can achieve by the year 2030. 2030 was the year by which we had to achieve almost all that we've achieved already now. But not remaining to see just that and repeat that glory, we have said we'll now push up to 450 gigawatts in solar. Now, India is also at a very critical stage of its development. It's a large country, diversified population, and above all, the levels of development are not across the country consistent. In some parts it's less, in some parts it's more. It has its own historical reasons and also topographical reasons. Now, unless we make sure that inclusivity in development is achieved, our development story will be incomplete. Now, if it is going to be incomplete, it's no good. To in fact bring in inclusivity, a lot of steps have been brought in. Financial inclusivity through technology, removing pilferages and making sure benefits reach those who are entitled for it, and also bringing in greater skills so that people are empowered to see how best they can move in terms of labor mobility and so on. Now, at this stage, and also at this stage where we clearly have shown that the commitments are being fulfilled, if India is being told constantly, where are your commitments on net zero? When are you going to be? Now, net zero, however noble the cause is it part of the Paris Agreement? Is it part of the UN FCCC framework? Is it part of what has been discussed in the COP meetings, the summit meetings? Whilst it's noble and you would want the world to be healthier, just as we want all humans to be healthier after the pandemic, we seem to be bringing in newer and newer demands, particularly on emerging economies. Even those who have clearly shown that we didn't wait for global finances, we didn't wait for global technologies, we didn't wait for the world to come and tell us to set up varied sources of renewable energy, and we are moving in that direction. So I'm more keen to suggest that climate-related agreements through the COP summits within the framework of UN FCCC will have to be the path through which we walk this talk on climate change and our commitments towards climate change. And therefore, in that, India has shown that it is one among the 6 countries which have fulfilled COP21 Paris Agreement commitments. And in fact, we are on the top of the list. So I would want that to be kept in the back of our minds, even as we are very keen to say, are you going to do this? Are you going to fulfill this? Please, let's keep that perspective.
Absolutely. But, that's also kind of, just as you said, we are, India is doing all this and ensuring that we are on top of the list. But at the same time, that's another thing that the countries want to achieve. So, Many countries are making that commitment. So do you think that is not necessary that you set a date for yourself and you'll be walking towards it anyways?
First of all, are we talking about carbon emission per capita? Are we talking about carbon emission which has happened already and not in the old-fashioned, much used polluter pays line, but per capita emission? Let's take India. Okay. Where is per capita emission in India's case? At what level are we in it? Very small, lower, somewhere bottom of the, big pile of carbon emission contributors. Can that be out of the realm when we are discussing about commitments towards reducing carbon emissions? We want to reduce carbon emissions, but can we talk about what is the emission level from India per capita? So these are things which we want to keep in our mind, and also when we take a call as India, which is going to take a call on its nationally determined commitments, this is a factor which will weigh heavily, because if you permit me to expand on this answer for a minute, look at the weight it will put on the common man's shoulder. In India, we are already implicitly taxing carbon in very many ways. There is a coal tax, a cess on use of coal. There is a tax on import of crude, which is a fossil fuel. There is a tax on those transportation fuels, which are definitely earlier very polluting. There is also this very clearly budgetary commitment that the legacy thermal plants will all be closed. So when we are at this kind of a one after the other, also making sure that the usage of fossilized fuels will be disincentivized, are we then saying you do that and put a burden on the common man as it is, till as long as we don't have an affordable alternative to fossil fuels? Are we in a position to further burden the common man? So the vulnerabilities of a developing countries cannot be lost out on in a hurry to prove that I'm a good student in a classroom.